is not the strongest or the most intelligent who survive, but the most responsive to change. Yes, it is not the strongest or the most intelligent who survive, but the most responsive to change. And you see, to thrive, you must change. And life happens that you either change or be changed. Great evening, guys. Thank you so very much for joining us again on another exciting Upgrade Live with Mr. Upgrade. Yes, this is the Upgrade Live with Mr. Upgrade. And like you know, we do this every Sundays, basically from 7 p.m. through to 8 p.m. And we basically get to do four things. Yes. Number one, we get to take your questions. So if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to send in your questions and we'll gladly take them. Number two, we got to share with you the Upgrade Mastery tip for the week. And for this week, the Upgrade Mastery tip is change. You know, if you joined us last week, we had an interesting conversation on switch, right? And you know that when you make a switch, literally you will change, right? So that's why we have to continue the conversation on change and why this is important and why it is critical for you to change. And like we said, it is not the strongest or the most intelligent that survive. It is the most responsive to change that survive, right? And like I said, you either change or you will be changed. So it's up to you. But change is inevitable, right? Okay. The third thing that we get to do on the conversation is that we get to connect, network, and bond because we live in a world where it's very important that we get to connect, right? We get to meet people from different parts of the globe. So it's important that we get to learn how to connect, how to network, and how to bond. These are very important skills, right? So in the comment section, we also encourage people to learn to connect, learn to bond, learn to network. Very, very important, right? And the fourth thing that we get to do is that we got to have fun. Yes, we got to have fun while we do the Upgrade Live with Mr. Upgrade because we strongly believe that if learning is not fun, there is no learning at all. So we got to have fun while we learn. So once again, I want to welcome you to another exciting conversation that we're going to be having today. Trust me, you do not want to miss any part of this. And like we said, do well to share this with your friends, your families, your loved ones, and even your enemies so that they can be part of the conversation and so that they too can upgrade and leave good behind. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. So, today, we know we'll begin with our basic 5 questions. You know, these 5 questions help us to lay the foundation. It helps you to understand what it is that we're going to be talking about. And it also just helps us to get the show on the road, right? So, while we wait for you to send in your questions, we're going to start with our basic 5 questions, right? These 5 questions lay the foundation for the conversation. So you're able to understand what it is that we are heading towards, right? So we're going to begin our basic 5 questions with question number one, right? What is change? What is change? When you hear the word change, what does that mean? What does that resonate? You know, every time you hear people talk about change, you know, you have to change, things needs to change, the life needs to, we need to change, we need to do better. What exactly is change? When you hear change, what comes to your mind? You know, there's always that thing that comes to your mind when you hear a particular word, right? Not necessarily the dictionary meaning, but there's a meaning you always ascribe to things when you hear them. So when you hear change, what is it that comes to your mind? What is it that resonates with you when you hear the word change? I'd like you to tell me in the comment before I share with you the definition from the upgrade side of life. And you know, our definitions, you won't find them anywhere else, right? So tell me, when you hear change, what comes to your mind? What exactly is change when you hear the word change? I'd like to hear from you first before I tell you what it is, right? Tell me in the comment. What is change? Right? What is change? Type in the comment. Just let me know what you think change is, right? Okay, so while I wait for you to share, let me just make progress because we have a lot that we need to cover today. with the time that we have. You see this, guys? Change, it is the uncomfortable. Okay, someone says change is the switch from the usual. Okay, I like this. Say change is the switch from the usual. You know, last week we talked about switch, right? Thank you so much for relating both. The switch from the usual, that is change. Fantastic. Now, you see, on the upgrade side of life, change, it is the uncomfortable, disorienting, beautiful, painful, inevitable process by which you are continually, right, invited to become more fully who you are meant to be. Now, let me take that again so you can understand it. I say change, it is the uncomfortable, disorienting, beautiful, painful, inevitable process by which you are continually invited to become more fully who you are meant to be. Take note of the words. Change is the disorienting, uncomfortable, beautiful, painful, inevitable process by which you are continually invited to become more fully who you are meant to be. So change is about you becoming who you are meant to be. You are not expected to stay the same way as a person. You are expected to change. You know, an old great saying says, no one stepped into the same river twice, because the river flows and the same is not the same you enters the first time that enters again. That's change, the state of flow, right? So it is the uncomfortable, disorienting, beautiful, painful, inevitable process by which you are invited to continually become more fully who you are meant to be. So change was never about things or people or places, but about you. The most important factor in any change is you, right? Because now you are becoming who you are fully meant to be. So when you make a switch, it's important that you now get to change. Are you getting this? So, let me give you an example before we head there. It was not the same son who left home that was the same son who returned home in the story of the prodigal son. Are you getting this? Is this making sense? No, we'll get there later. Now, question number 2. Who is responsible for change? Now, we know what change is. Who then is responsible for change? The answer is simple. You are responsible for change. No one is responsible for change but you, right? Whether you change or you don't change is entirely up to you. So no one else is responsible for change. Are you getting this? Is this making sense for you? So nobody else is responsible for change but you. You are responsible for change. No one else but you. Question number 3. Why change? Why do we have to change? Why do we have to have a conversation around change? Tell you 3 reasons why. Number 1, to evolve. Number 2, to grow. Number 3, to transform. These are 3 reasons why change. Change would help you to evolve. Now, you are becoming who you are fully meant to be. You are evolving, right? You are evolving. Change helps you to evolve, right? Now, as you evolve, you grow. You are not the same person before the evolving. You're growing. And then as you grow, you transform. Because see this, guys, when you change, there are a lot of things that transform about you. There are things that you probably would be getting upset about before now, but now that you change, you don't even ruffle your feathers anymore, let alone get you upset. Why? Because you have transformed. So these are 3 reasons why change. You evolve, you grow, and you transform. So anyone who you have seen gone through that process of change, you will see these things, that they evolve, that they grow, that they transform. Are you getting this? Is this making sense? Now, question number 4, what are the benefits of change? What are the things that you will gain when you change? What are the benefits of change? I'll tell you 3 benefits of change. Number 1, adaptability. Remember, we told you earlier, it's not the strongest or the most intelligent who survive. It is the most responsive to change, which means one of the benefits of change for you is adaptability. You are able to now adapt. You're able to adapt, right? They say it's no longer survival of the fittest. It is now survival of the most adaptable. So what happens to you with change is that there is adaptability. Wherever you find yourself, you are able to adapt. And that's one of the skills for this age, adaptability. Otherwise, you are going to be obsolete. You have to adapt. Now, there's AI right about now, AI this, AI that. You need to adapt. You can't keep holding on to, oh, I need to do things without AI. No, adapt. Learn to do things with AI. AI should be complementary. Are you getting this? So one of the benefits of change is adaptability. The second benefit of change, maturity. You see, as you change, you become mature, right? The reason why you will see a lot of immature people around is because they've not changed. Because once they change, they attain maturity. Are you getting this? There's a level of maturity that you now operate from the moment you change. And this maturity can only come through change, nothing else. Your age is not what determines maturity. It is your change that determines maturity. I'll say that again. Your age does not determine maturity. It is your change that determines maturity. So the second benefit of change is maturity. The third benefit of change is resilience and responsibility. As a result of change, you are more resilient, you are more responsible. Because you've adapted so much that you are no longer resistant to change, you are now resilient with change. So when things happen and hit you back, you're resilient to step up. You're resilient to keep going. That's the benefit of change. There's resilience and responsibility, knowing that if you don't change, you will be changed. There's resilience and responsibility. Are you getting this, guys? Is this making sense for you? So 3 benefits of change. Number 1, adaptability. Number 2, maturity. And number 3, resilience and responsibility. Resilience and responsibility. Question number 5. When is the best time to change? When is the best time to change? You know, the last best time for anything was yesterday. The next best time to change is now. Now is the next best time for you to change. Now, I don't know where you are in your journey. I don't know how life is for you, but now is the next best time for you to change. Now, not tomorrow, not later, not in the future, but now. Now is the best time for you to change. Now. And trust me, you either change by yourself or life will change you. Life will change you. Either you change by yourself or life will do the change for you. It always makes sense that you change yourself and don't wait for life to change you. Because when life changes you, it's not going to be funny. It's not going to be funny. Right? Okay, so let's break down change itself. CHANGE, change. Let's break it down so that you can fully comprehend what it is that we're talking about, right? Let's break this down for you. Change. CHANGE, change, right? They say that the only thing that is constant in life is change, right? You see, change is the only thing that's constant. Change is the only thing that's inevitable. Now, let's break down change. We've defined it, but let's break it down, right? From our definition, we told you that it is the uncomfortable, disorienting, beautiful, painful, inevitable process by which you are continually invited to become more fully who you are meant to be. So let's see what that means when we break it down. CHANGE, change. The C in change is choice. Every change, whether you like it or not, begins with a choice. Yes, every change begins with a choice. Trust me, every change begins with a choice. You know, Archbishop Benson Dahosa once wrote the book titled, I Choose to Change. I choose to change. Every change begins with a choice, which means if I want to change, I must make the choice for change. Let's say you are tired of your situation. You're tired of being sick and tired. You make that choice for change. Change will not force itself on you. You make the choice for change. Are you getting this? Change will not force itself on you. Say, oh, you must change. No, no. You have to make the choice for change. So change begins with a choice. So the reason why people have not changed as they should change is because they've not made the choice for change. You've not made the choice. Because once you make the choice for change, you will change. Things will change because you made the choice for change. So change begins with a choice. Begins with a choice. And that choice shows that you are taking responsibility for your life. It shows that you are taking charge of your life. So you are willing to make the choice for change. So let's say your finances have not been doing so well, right? And you want to make the change in your finances. So you have to first make the choice that, okay, this thing is not doing good as it should. What do I have to do? You make the choice for change. Are you getting this? Now, the H in change is hunger. You know, one of the things I tell people is that I can teach you a lot of things, but I cannot teach you to be hungry. That hunger has to come from within. That hunger that you can be more is what drives change. I can be better than this. I can be more for myself. That's what drives change. So if there is no hunger, there cannot be change, because the H in change is hunger. How hungry are you? How hungry are you for change? How hungry are you? The H is hunger. You know, even the good book says, those that hunger and taste after righteousness, they shall be filled. How hungry are you for change? How hungry are you to be more? How hungry are you to be better? The H is hunger. You cannot change where there is no hunger. You cannot change. You just cannot change where there is no hunger for you to change. You can't change. You can try, but you can't change where there is no hunger. The A in change is acceptance. You know, one of the things that happens to you when you start to change is that you accept that you need a change. You know, a lot of people are living in denial. They're living in denial, right? They are in self delusion until you get to that point of acceptance that this has to change. Change will never take place. So the A in change is acceptance. The acceptance of what needs to change. The acceptance that you can be more. The acceptance that this state that you are is not the best state for you. There must be that acceptance. Because you will never change what you've not accepted needs a change. As long as you keep lying to yourself that everything is fine, you will not see the need to change. You know, the prodigal son was eating with swine. And then he got to that point of acceptance and says, no, in my father's house, even the servants, they have enough to eat and to spare. Acceptance. And this is the part that is difficult for a lot of people to accept, that where they are is not where they should be. You know, one of the things that happens to us a lot is that we adjust. And you know, when you adjust, it becomes difficult for you to make acceptance that you can be more. So that's why change brings about acceptance that this is not it. This is not it. This is not it. So the A in change is acceptance. Once you accept this is where you are, you're on your way to where you should be. Are you getting this? The N in change is necessity. Change is a necessity. Change is a necessity, right? It's part of your life journey that you change at some point. It is a necessity. You cannot stay the same way all through life. Change is a necessity. They get a point in your journey where you must change. You must. It's a necessity. You know, there is a saying that 20 kids cannot remain friends for 20 years. Why? Because change will take place. It's of necessity. The N in change is necessity. That's why you realize that some of your best friends or your close friends while you were in secondary school are not your close friends in university, or even your close friends when you start working. It's a necessity of change. Because you see, life, you are friends for a reason, They are friends for a season, and they are friends for life. The G in change is growth. For every change that occurs, there is a level of growth that emerge. I'll say that again. For every change that occurs, there's a level of growth that emerge. So the G in change is growth. It's a level of growth that you attain as a result of change. It's a level of growth. You don't stay the same. When you change, things experience growth as a result of that change. Because we told you why change is for you to evolve, for you to grow, for you to transform. So there's a level of growth that takes place when change happens. It's a level of growth. And finally, the E in change is experience. With change, you have different experiences, different things you've experienced as a result of change. The people, the places, the circumstances, the things, they become experience that you have as a result of change. Are you getting this? So the E in change is experience. Nobody literally remains the same when they change. They gain experience. They experience things when they change. So these are the things that happens to you when you change. It starts with the choice, then there is the hunger, then there's the acceptance. It's a necessity. It brings about growth and experience. So this, my friend, this is what change is about. So when you say you change, this is what has happened. Are you getting this? Is this making sense? So give me a minute. I need to switch over. Okay, so apologies for that. We are back. Okay, so sorry for the switching power source. We are back again. Thank you so much for staying with us. Apologies again for that. Okay, so let's get back to our conversation. So, like we were saying, we said that change starts with a choice, then you have the hunger, and then you have the acceptance, then you know it's a necessity, then you experience the growth, and then you have the experience. This is what brings about change, right? This is what brings about change. Now, let's look at some other aspects of change that are very critical for us, right? Some aspects of change very critical for us. See this, guys. The change is the mechanism for evolution, right? It is the source of innovation and the prerequisite for growth. I'll say that again. Change is the mechanism of evolution, it is the source of innovation and the prerequisite for growth. Yet, it is also the deepest, it is also our deepest anxieties because it threatens our need for predictability and control. Are you getting this? Right? Are you getting this? So, as much as change is a mechanism of evolution, the source of innovation, and the prerequisite for growth, it is also our deepest anxiety because it threatens the need for predictability and control. Because see, sometimes one of the things that change does to you is that it takes away that form of predictability and control. Because you cannot predict what you are evolving into, you cannot control what you are evolving into. Follow me closely, guys. See, when it comes to change, you cannot stop it, you can only resist it, and you will suffer. Or you can flow with it and then you will grow. I want to let that to sink in. When it comes to change, you cannot stop it. Change will happen with or without you. You cannot stop it. If you try to resist it, you would suffer. But if you flow with it, you would grow. That's why I say that change is inevitable. Inevitable. And see this, guys. Change is not something that happens to you. It is something that happens as you. Let that sink in. Change is not something that happens to you. It is something that happens as you. So see this, guys. Change is immoral. Change is neither good, change is neither bad. Change is up to you. Which means you can change from being good to being bad, or you can change from being bad to being good. Change is up to you. Change is up to you. It's neither good nor bad. It's up to you. It's immoral. It depends on the person who is changing. So you see people change from being good to being bad. And you see people change from being bad to being good. So it wasn't change. It was the person who went through change. So change in itself is immoral. But you who go through change, who you become, now determines whether it was a good change or a bad change. Are you getting this, guys? Now, three things about change I want you to remember. Three things about change I want you to remember. Number one, change is creative. Remember, I told you earlier that change is the source of innovation. Change is creative. Number two, change is disruptive. Change disrupts. Change is disruptive. Henry Ford was asked that if he had asked people what they wanted, they would have said they wanted faster horses. But Henry Ford moved from horses to cars. Change is disruptive. We move from the typewriter to the computer. Change is disruptive. We move from the internet to artificial intelligence. Change is disruptive. And the third thing is that change is destructive. Change can destroy people. Change can destroy a system. Change is destructive. As much as change is creative, disruptive, it is also destructive. There are people who have been destroyed as a result of change. So always know these three things about change. It is creative, it is disruptive, and it is destructive. Never forget it. Never forget it. And you see, there are two traits of change. When you look at these two traits, you see a person who's on the journey of change. Two traits of change. Number one is decision. Number two is action. People who truly change, you see these two traits in play. Decision, action. Because we told you that change begins with a choice. That choice comes from a decision to change. And that choice is backed with action. So two traits of change is decision and action. Anyone who changes, you will notice they first made the decision and they back that decision with action. Decision, action. Two traits of change. Decision, action. Are you getting this? Is this making sense? Now, the one goal of change anywhere is becoming. The whole essence of change is becoming. That's the goal. Becoming. That's the goal. The goal of change is becoming. That's the goal. To become. And becoming is best expressed in transformation. It's best expressed in transformation. Are you getting this, guys? Now, since we know this about change, then why is it that people resist change? Because the truth of the matter is this: people know they have to change, yet people resist change. So why do people resist change? Why do people know that change is for their good, yet they fight against the change that is for their good? Why is this? I'll tell you why it is, right? People resist change because, first, they're going to lose control. They're going to lose control. Because when you change for a certain phase, you lose control. You're losing control of what you've always done, who you have always been. That loss of control is why people resist change. People rather remain in status quo than to lose control. So because of that, they won't change. So why people resist change? Number one, loss of control. Number two is the loss of competence. Let's say you've been on a particular role for a period of time, and now you are changed to another role all your competence on that previous role, you're going to lose it, especially when you cannot translate it into your new role. So because of that, people hold on to their past than to embrace the future. So that loss of competence is why people resist change. I've been good at this for a long time, and now you want me to go and do something else. That loss of competence is why people resist change. But you see, one of the things that will help you in your journey is to be open to change. To be open to change. Another reason why people resist change is the loss of identity. They feel like if they change, their identity, what they've been known for, what they've been used to, would also change. That loss of identity. See, you must realize that your identity is not what you do. Your identity is who you are. So when it comes to change, you take who you are to your new role. So you don't lose your identity, because that your identity is who you are, not what you do. The loss of identity is why people change. Another reason why people change, why people resist change. I told you there's the loss of control, the loss of competence, the loss of identity. There's the loss of status quo. You've been known for one thing for a long time. Now, if you change, you're not going to be known for that anymore. That status quo, people like to hold on to it. So because of that, they don't want to change. They rather avoid loss. You know, for some people, they rather not make a loss than to try to make gain. That's loss aversion. They don't want to make losses rather than they're making gain. That's why some people don't change. They hold on to status quo. And I've told us before that the fastest change ever is how fast people go back to status quo, because they hold on to status quo. Another reason why people resist change is fear and uncertainty. As long as you are afraid, as long as you have uncertainty, you would resist change. You resist change. Another reason why people resist change is surprise and lack of physiological safety. You know, people want to always feel safe, right? So they don't like surprises. They don't like anything that takes them away from their comforts. So they will resist change. See, growth and convenience are never on the same lane. Growth and convenience are never on the same lane. It's either you grow or you remain convenient. You can have both. You can have both. So these are the reasons why people resist change. And if I were you, I will look beyond these reasons and make the necessary change that needs to be made in my life. See, you know that old saying of the devil you know, better the devil you know than the devil you don't. That's the words for people who don't want to change. That's the quote for people who don't want to change. You say, oh, better the devil you know than the devil you don't. Because they do not want to change. See these guys. Whether you like it or not, change is inevitable. And the earlier you realize this, the better for you. But you see, there are easy ways for you to adapt to change. Because I told us that it's not the survival of the fittest. It's the survival of the most adaptable. How do you now adapt to change? I'll tell you, so that you can be able to make up your mind to make the change that you should make for your life. The best ways to adapt to change. Number one, you shift from a victim mindset to a victor mindset. So instead of saying, oh, why is this happening to me? A victor mindset. What can I learn from what is happening to me? You switch. You make a shift from a victor's mindset, from a victim mindset to a victor mindset. Instead of saying, oh, why me? Why not me? Why not me? You switch from a victim mindset to a victor mindset. So you move from seeing yourself as a victim of change to a victor in change. This change is happening for me, not against me. This change is happening for me, not against me. It's a victor mindset, not a victim mindset. That's how you can adapt to change. You shift from a victim mindset to a victor mindset. Also, you manage the transition, not just the change, because change brings about a transition. So you manage that transition. Know that this is a phase. I'm going through this phase. I will come out better on the other side. Like they say, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. And I always like to tell people that at the end of the tunnel is you. You are the light at the end of the tunnel. Because it's a transition. Are you getting this? So change is a transition. So manage the transition. Manage it. Manage the transition. Manage the transition, not just the change. Right? Also, you need to reframe loss as learning. Yes, you may have had some losses, but reframe it as learning. It's not a loss. It's what you have learned. Reframe it. To adapt to change, you reframe your loss as learning. You take the loss as feedback. Right? And then to adapt to change, you create stability anchors. What do I call stability anchors? You have routine anchors, things that you do routinely. You wake up at a certain time, you do your exercises, you take your work. Routine anchors. It helps you to adapt to change. Another thing are your value anchors. What are the things that you hold as values that you will never compromise? Those things help you to adapt to change. So because you switch roles, you don't say, oh, because I'm now here now, I'm not going to behave like this. No, because you have your value anchors, even when you go to a different place, some things still will not change about you. Why? Because you have your value anchors. They are the values that you anchor in your life. And then you have your relationship anchors. These are the people that you learn from, people that you take feedback from, people that you can talk to, your relationship anchors. So when you're going through that transition, these people are there for you to give you a shoulder to lean on. So these are anchors that helps your stability. So you must create your stability anchors, your routine anchors, your value anchors, your relationship anchors. And then you use proximity to overcome fear. Don't run away. Get close. They say the treasure you seek is in the cave you fear to enter. Use proximity to overcome fear. Look at people who have made changes in their life. Who did they become? It says wisdom to learn from those who have done thrice what you're trying to do once. because fear will thrive in isolation. So use proximity to overcome fear. Get closer to people who are succeeding. Get closer to people who have made change over and over in their lives. Because you can now see that what's possible for them is possible for you. Are you getting this? And then interpret your physiological arousal. So instead of getting upset because of change, you're excited for the change. Instead of becoming sad because of change, you are happy for the change. Interpret your psychological arousal as excitement. Let's do this. See, when it comes to change, you either have the resistance mindset or the adaptability mindset. Like I told you, if you resist change, you would suffer. But if you flow with change, you would grow. I'll say that again. If you resist change, you would suffer. But if you flow with the change, you would grow. So you either have the resistance mindset, which is the wrong mindset to have, or you have the adaptability mindset, which is the right mindset to have when it comes to change. Adaptability mindset is the right mindset to have when it comes to change. You must adapt. You must adapt. See this, guys. Sometimes change is not about improving your current situation, but about becoming a completely new version of yourself. I'll say that again. Change is not about improving your current situation, but it's about becoming a completely new version of yourself. That's why I told us at the beginning, change is about you evolving. So you're not just improving the situation, you are becoming a completely new version of yourself. A completely new version of yourself. But this is what I want you to understand. Change comes with both choice and cost. Never forget this. Change comes with both choice and cost. There's the choice you have to make for change. There's the cost that change has. Change comes with both choice and cost. Some people make the choice, but they don't make the cost. You need both the choice and the cost. And see this, guys, with change, your past identity does not dictate future purpose. With change, your past identity does not dictate future purpose. That's why scripture says in 2 Corinthians 5:17 that if any man be in Christ, he is a new creature. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things are become new. Are you getting this? So change, when it comes to change, your past identity does not dictate your future purpose. So you could have been somebody who was evil in the past, but now that you've changed, you can become a person who is good. Look at Apostle Paul. He was persecuting the church, going from house to house. It was the same Paul who became an apostle propagating the gospel. Your past identity does not dictate your future purpose. Let me give you some biblical examples of change. And biblical examples. Remember the guy called David, who changed from being a shepherd to being a king. He was first taking care of his father's sheep, and then he changed to become the one who was taking care of the nation of Israel. Are you getting this? Look at Ruth. Through loyalty and loss, she moved from being a Moabite to being in the genealogy of Jesus. Change. Are you getting this? Look at Moses. From being a prince in Egypt to being a shepherd to being a liberator. Change. Look at the prodigal son. Was changed through desperation and return. From being a vagabond to becoming a loved son again. Change. And you see, there are consistent pattern of change you must observe. Consistent pattern of change that you need to observe. And I'll tell you some of them. You could see that change is often initiated by a call, a crisis, or a confrontation. Change is often initiated by a call, a crisis, or a confrontation. You could see that change requires letting go of either your identity, your security, your reputation, or control. Change involves letting go. It involves letting go. And you could also see that change is rarely instant. No change happens instantly. No, it takes a while. It takes a process. Change is never instant. Never instant. And you could also see that with change, there will be struggles and wounds. They are part of the transformation. Struggles and wounds are part of the transformation. And with change, your new identity comes from God, not from you. Your new identity comes from God, not from you. And also you see that the ultimate purpose of change is never personal, but participation in a larger picture, in a larger story. It's never personal, but your participation in a larger story. So look at all the examples I used. David, Ruth, Moses, the prodigal son, even Paul. Those changes were never personal, but it was for a participation in the larger story. And you see, change has its benefits. The benefits of change outweighs the cost of change. And they say when people know that it is the pain of change is easier than the pain of staying the same way, they would change. The pain that comes with change is easier than the pain of staying the same way when you don't change. People will change. But there are so many benefits of change, so many things you start to gain when you change. Why you should take up change as a responsibility and as a necessity. What are some of those benefits that happen when you change? You see growth and development when you change. When you change, you will see new opportunities and possibilities when you change. When you change, you will see increased resilience and adaptability when you change. When you change, you will see freedom from stagnation and complacency. When you change, you have a deeper relationship and connection. And when you change, there is spiritual and character development when you change. So you see, these are more than enough reasons for you to sit back and engage the process of change for your life. We have so much to gain and very little to lose. Yeah, I won't tell you there's nothing to lose. Very little to lose. Because what you lose when it comes to change is the old you. That's what you lose. It's the old you. But there's so much to gain when you change. And the question now becomes, are you ready for change? If you truly made a switch from our last conversation, then you must be ready for change. Because switch is always followed by change. Yeah, switch is always followed by change. So if you did make the switch, then it's time to make the change. Don't stay the same way. It's in your best interest that you don't stay the same way. It's in your best interest that you change. I don't know how best to say this, but this is the best time for you to make the necessary change for your life. This is the best time. And trust me, you won't regret it if you change. You only regret for not changing soon enough. Do you get that? You won't regret it if you change. You only regret it for not changing soon enough. So it's up to you now. What do you want to do? It's up to you. So guys, this is it. This is our conversation for the now. And we hope that this has helped you in your journey to change. Because trust me, you need to make the change. No one will make the change for you. No one. Because change comes as a result of your choice, and change has a cost that you have to pay. And no one can make that choice for you. No one will pay the cost for you. It's all your responsibility. So now, what would you do? What will you do? Would you change? Or would you stay the same way? I encourage you to change. Don't stay the same way. Don't. You would regret it. You would regret it. So guys, this is it. This is our conversation for now. And we hope that this has been of great impact to you. And like we always say, guys, 3 things will happen for you in this new week, right? 3 things will happen for you. Number 1, increased voice of God. Number 2, open heavens over your life. And number 3, more angelic activities in all that you do. Remember, there's always more on the upgrade side of life. That's why we encourage you that you live good behind so that you can upgrade. And what better way for you to upgrade than to change? Yes, that's one of the greatest ways for you to upgrade, to change, because it is possible that you can change. You are not a tree. You can change. And change awaits you if you do what you need to do for the change that you want. Change awaits you. And I encourage you to actually change. Because the best version of you is on the other side of change. Yeah. The best version of you is on the other side of change. Guys, we encourage you to do well to always share this with your friends, your families, your loved ones, and even your enemies, so that they too can be part of this conversation. So do well to like, subscribe, and share. You never know whose life you will be helping to change when you do that. So we encourage you to always do that. Like, subscribe, turn on post notification, and share. Why is it important that you turn on post notification? So that you don't miss out anytime we go live. Right? Instead of coming to watch a replay, it's always best that you join the conversation live so you can ask questions, so you can be part of the fun as it's happening. Guys, I appreciate you for being here. Thank you so much for your time. I do not take that for granted. Until we come your way again, this same time, next Sunday, Remember, there's always more on the upgrade side of life. That's why we encourage you to leave good behind so that you can upgrade. And what better way for you to upgrade than for you to change? And change is possible. You can make it happen for your life. I can't wait to hear the feedback on the change that you made in your life and in your journey. Once again, thank you so much for watching. God bless you.